Hello everyone, just want to start out thanking you for tuning into our project. My name is Aaron Payne, and I'm joined by my fellow group mates Shirin Buzari, Nana Micah, Layla Freckman, and Daniel Ranke. Today, we will be focusing on someone who's been all over everyone's television screen lately, Mr. Donald Trump. Specifically, we will be talking about Trump and his blatant focus on illegal immigrants. Following his visit to the Iowa State Fair in mid-August, Trump gave a speech in front of his Republican supporters on Mexican immigration. During his speech, he mentioned that he wanted to build a wall around the Mexican border, in addition to increasing fees on Mexican immigrant workers' visas and in welfare for new immigrants and in birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants born in the United States. Coming up, we will analyze his statements on the issue.
To build that wall, the Trump administration would increase fees on Mexican work visas. Trump also wants to end welfare for new immigrants and end birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants born in the U.S.
We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to
But they have to go. But
Donald Trump denies that immigrants possess humanity, dignity, and have a right to compassion in the U.S. For example, during his press conference, Trump kicked out Jorge Ramos, a Mexican-American journalist, for asking about his plan to deport all undocumented immigrants. He then yelled at him to go back to Univision. Trump shows moral exclusion in this by acting as if he is superior to Mexicans. He also illustrates moral exclusion by referring to babies who are born in the U.S. with parents who aren't citizens as anchor babies.
At the same conference, Donald used the statement "anchor baby." Anchor baby is a statement that goes to children of the illegal immigrants. Trump suggested that those children are not U.S. citizens. These comments are considered offensive and hurtful. It breaks the ethical rules of respect for others and their views. With this statement, Donald Trump has lost the respect of so many that have kids and have been undocumented in this country.
Has become a dumping ground for everybody else's problems. Thank you. It's true. And these are the best and the finest. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. They're sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East. But we don't know, because we have protection, and we have no competence. We don't know what's happening. And it's got to stop.
Once again, Donald Trump is making use of moral exclusion, particularly where he is placing blame for any harm on the victims, in this case Mexican Americans. He says that the problem of crimes, drugs, and rape is coming from the wrong immigrants that are coming from Mexico. And this is very unethical, considering that you can't blame an entire problem on one specific population, as it creates stereotypes and engenders hate.
So now that we've heard what Donald Trump plans on doing with the Mexican immigration problem, let's break it down and analyze it from quote-unquote every time he has said something about this problem. First, a nation without borders is not a nation. He says there must be a wall across the southern border. 2, a nation without laws is not a nation. He believes that all laws must improve wages. And then, a nation that does not serve its own citizens is not a nation as well. What Donald Trump plans on doing is making Mexico pay for the wall like it's their problem, and that we have to penalize them for coming into our country when really it's been a problem the whole time. But now that Donald Trump has kind of singling out Mexicans. That's not the right thing to do. What he wants to do is eliminate all immigrants. He's going to take every immigrant out that isn't legal right now, bring them back to Mexico. He's going to change fees to cross borders, going in and out of Mexico. He's going to raise that up. That way it makes harder for immigrants to come in and then also leave. And lastly, he's going to take away the anchor baby. What he's going to do is, by taking away the all immigrants, is going to eliminate the anchor babies, and then it's going to reduce the fact that when people come in and have their babies there, they won't be able to stay in the United States anymore.
All right, so being that you guys aren't from, America, and you technically could be classified as an immigrant, forget Donald Trump. How do his comments on immigration and immigrants as a whole make you guys feel?
For my part, I come from Mali, which is a country in West Africa, and the reason why such comments would offend me is because generally many of these comments are based on stereotypes that we see on the media or in other forms of communication, and the African continent in general has many negative stereotypes, including poverty, diseases, hunger, and just very many negative connotations. So I usually find it offensive when people ask me questions like, do you have windows, or do you live in houses, or just questions that seem to make where I come from a negative place, while I consider it being a positive place since it's my home.
For me, I come from Iran, a country in the Middle East, which is not known for best of news around the world. Everything is about war and terrorism, and all you can hear about is it's from that region. And that perspective, when I come here, that people figure out I'm from Iran, I'm Muslim, that brings them, they will think in their heads like, is she Muslim, is she terrorist? So those thoughts are in people's heads, and it won't go away because it's all over media. And again, it's the topic of stereotypes that it's hard to change those thoughts, and it's with these comments coming up about immigrants that everything is wrong with them, not everything else, and just showing that no matter what, we're still focusing on stereotypes in this world. But that should change, because it's offensive to us and everyone else, because we might come from a different culture, different place, but I think we're like humans as everyone else, and if we're here legally, and we deserve to be here. So that is my opinion on this.
During our presentation, we covered a lot of topics and spit out a lot of facts that may have slipped past you. So here's a quick summary. We talked about how Trump shows the superiority of one's group by making unflattering comparisons to other individuals or groups. We also talked about how Donald Trump thinks he has the power to possess humanity, dignity, or sensitivity, or have a right to compassion, in addition to how he places the blame for any harm on the victim, and how Donald Trump tries to justify his behavior by claiming that it is widely accepted, and finally, how Trump misrepresents cruelty and harm through neutral, positive, techno, or euphemistic terms. In closing, ask yourself this: would you really want this man as your president?